Hey guys, this is Game Geek coming to you with another battle commentary. This one is featuring Pahlava. So I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. So this battle is featuring Pahlava against Arverni, and it's part of a best of 3 set I played against Mephiston recently. And so this, I wanted to talk about this, to talk about some of what I think might be misconceptions regarding a matchup like Pahlava versus Arverni. But also to illustrate, just look at the quality of play in this battle, because I think this is one of the highest quality battles I've played recently in terms of the technical skill of both players involved. Not to shout out myself too much here, but both myself and Mephiston played this battle extremely well. So the first thing to note is that my army has almost no horse archers. So the first thing you'd think about, like when you're playing against an army like Arverni, is why don't I just bring a bunch of horse archers and shoot all these lightly armored Gauls? And it's like, sure, that's probably what you do if you're a real-life commander, but this is EB Online. And here in EB Online, our commanders are tough and prepared. They will not simply bring the most logical army to let you simply steamroll them. You have to think about what they're going to bring as well. So if he expects, I'm going to bring a bunch of horse archers. He's going to bring a bunch of cheap foot missiles to counter me. He knows that I have cataphracts, and he's going to always take slingers to counter the cataphracts. And he's going to have heavily armored infantry, so he doesn't die very easily to arrows, with the exception of some guys, which will have a big shield. So he's going to be pretty well prepared for missiles. And so, as Pahlava, when I'm thinking about this, I also have to deal with very good infantry, and heck, I mean, if I brought a bunch of horse archers and just tried to surround and shoot his infantry all the time, he'd repel them with foot missiles, and he'd have well-armored troops that I couldn't kill enough of. And because of the way the battle works, you're going to run out of ammo eventually, and at that point, there's not much you can do. I mean, sure, you could try charging with cataphracts repeatedly and withdraw, but he's going to have some cavalry. He's not going to let you kill them easily, and he'll be able to, trap and encircle your guys. They'll get tired. There are a lot of tricks you can do. And if you wanted to take a full horse archer army, you certainly could. Again, though, you can probably counter a full horse archer army with, like, really heavy infantry and a bunch of cheap missiles, and you just won't lose. So that's why, instead, I've opted here for 4 phalanxes, 5 Persian hoplites, and a Partho-Hellenic infantry. Decent cavalry corps. I have 1 Dahai riders, one of these medium cavalry which I brought in to attack skirmishers at a cost-effective rate, and I've brought 4 pretty flexible heavy cavalry units, 2 Dahai nobles, and 2 armored horse archers, as well as my general, so I have 5 heavy cavalry effectively. And what I'm gonna do with these is I took these deliberately because I know that I'm not gonna get a bunch of immediately amazing opportunities. It's not like I'm fighting against a successor faction. Where if I'm fighting against a successor faction, I know they're gonna have good heavy cavalry. I need to beat that heavy cavalry to avoid my own units getting run over. So I need good heavy cavalry to do that, because I can't just withdraw, because he's just gonna turn my flank and kill them. On this other hand, I'm playing against the Arverni. I'm not going to lose a cavalry battle unless I'm stupid. So, but he can use his good infantry to present a powerful defense. And so if he does that, these guys have the option to just shoot at the flanks and probe for weaknesses until they can find one to go in. You can see this battle started. We started at different angles from each other. I've got my Persian levy archers. I got 3 of them. They each have a chevron on them because I wanted something really good to counter his missiles and also get some pot shots off against his infantry. And you can see I brought my levy Persian archers in quite close. He's using his slingers to take shots against my Dahai. Very understandable decision. They don't have a shield. They have a bunch of armor. But my Persians, they're 120 men. Their accuracy sucks, but I just bring them in close, and they're just going to get a ton of kills against these Sotoros and Yosatai. And they have more numbers, and their bows are better. And they don't get, they're barely armored, so the slingers are not cost effective against them. So I have my archers firing in. He's got his infantry all over here because he doesn't want to engage my phalanx frontally. He wants to make me do some work to use my guys well. So he's got these guys out here instead, and he's got his main infantry body here. He's got some scaries in reserve to keep them out of force archer range, and he's got some good heavy cavalry. He's got, yeah, it looks like a general and Belgai elite cavalry. Belgai elite's a very good choice to potentially counter cataphracts, and they would probably beat any of my cavalry in melee. Even these cataphract archers, who have, I think, 28 defense, but their melee attack isn't very good, and they tire easily, so they'll lose to these guys in melee. And, of course, those guys are powerful enough to get good flanking charges on my troops. So really, Mephiston has brought sort of an optimal army composition to try to counter Pahlava in general, but also he's got some lighter dudes prepared to take out my infantry. And some extremely heavily armored infantry. He's got 3 Arjos, 1 Solduros, and 1 Dergloses Brunjadoi. So it's going to be really hard to kill this army. And I'm just taking some shots where I can. You can see I'm getting a few in, but it's, it's useful, but it's not amazing. Instead, what I decided to do is, he's going to try to flank me, I know that. I'm going to use my Persians to try to score some kills where I can, and see if I, drop his numbers a little bit. But really, I've sent in, because he has no serious infantry defense over here except this Levy Spear unit, presumably to prevent him being run over by Cav, I'm like, okay, I'm going to send in this Thuriphora unit, and as long as I have some troops nearby to support, he will do okay. And so he gets in there, he manages to take out some of the slingers and some of the spearmen, and he tries to move away, and I'm like, okay, his infantry's all the way over here, and if he tries to make a move, I can oppose him, I can shoot his flank. So he can't really do anything about this attack against his missiles, and they're so spread out, it's just hard for him to micro. So I get in my Kartika next, chase off the archers and some of the slingers, and rack up some kills. And this frees my Persians to take shots into their backs as they're retreating, and also potentially take more shots over here. He realizes exactly what I'm doing. So he responds correctly, which is to begin his flanking assault, because otherwise I'm going to have time to form up and do what I want with the battle. He's also managed to catch me off guard, sneak off a spear unit against my Dahai nobles. Probably one of the big mistakes I make this battle. A minor mistake. I lose like 10 guys. That's pretty bad, but didn't end up mattering. So he tries to move in this unit to flank. I put in my hoplites, and I tell them to use their swords to try to carve through the spear unit. He's using guard mode loose, basically to stop my cataphracts from getting free charges off. I've got my Dahai parked over here, aiming to take flank shots. I've got my Persians trying to get in some volleys. But you can look at the whole battle here, and this is moving really quickly. I have this really bizarre formation, because he's caught me on the flank. I've got my 2 units out, but he's ignoring my 2 units out here, because he recognizes that if he tries to take a fight here, I can probably just plow through his guys and catch him up. So I move in my phalanx, and he's like, okay, I'm going to kite you and get on your flank. Over here, I'm moving in my median cavalry. Since his slingers are way out there and protected, I'm just going to send in my medians, just like kill off his slingers. They'll take like, they'll do this real quick. These guys will rout in like 10 seconds. And he's got his guys in. He's put them in guard mode for now, to resist my phalanx. He's put up his like useless weak spear units against, it looks like 2 of my phalanx is stacked there, so he's got an effective counter there. My Kartika are holding against the spears, they're pulling out their swords and dealing damage. My Dahai are getting in there, trying to get some shots in on the flanks, but it's pretty long range, won't be too effective. And my Kartika here, they've been matched up. I'm doing the opposite thing. I put them in guard mode to hold off against these guys who are much better, but in guard mode they'll fight for a decent bit. So my 2 phalanxes here are unengaged. I think he makes a small mistake with his cavalry. I think he's trying to micro them to attack my Persian hoplites, which is a reasonable choice. My guys over here are still cutting through his missiles. They might have fired all their things, so it's not a problem. He's putting his levy spears to hold off a flank attack. And here things start to get crazy. This is where the decisive stuff happens. So I'm moving over my cataphract archers to get over here, start shooting him. He sends in his heavy infantry to get into my phalanx flank, and he moves in, I think, okay, Kateriya Gaiden, okay. So he's bringing in some guys with high mass. I see them, and it's like an easy target, so I start having my horse archers shoot them. I'm not sure, I think my Persians are shooting too, but I'm not sure what they're shooting. So he tried to pull off a kill on my hoplites. I brought in my Dahai to take care of his elite cavalry and kept my general nearby so my hoplites wouldn't break. And so at this point, the danger to that flank is gone, except for this unit, which is still potentially dangerous. We'll have to see about that. But I'm in the process of just cleaning up his missile units so they're not potentially causing unnecessary casualties to my cataphracts. Once these are cleaned up, my cataphracts can operate without too much fear of having slingers kill them. And the problem becomes really dealing with this infantry blob. And you'd think this should be easy. It's like, okay, this is just a blob of infantry. Cataphracts should just kill this. Well, not really. These are really good infantry. These are solduros. Solduros don't rout. This is one of the best infantry units in the game. They will hold against almost anything. And they will take multiple charges to break in almost every occasion. And so I'm sending in my Dahai. I'm just trying to chip away at these guys. But you see the Solduros barely taking any damage. The Archer's still holding up. And he's managed to do something over here such that he's able to turn into my flank with this extra Argos unit. And I have to bring in my Kardaka to support. But look, my Dahai riders, they couldn't get out of there in time and just got chopped up. This flanking unit was nothing. And so and he's getting around my flank. So there's an immense danger here. It's not as simple as it looks to break this Arverni army. It's like, oh, it's Gauls. No, these are the best Gallic infantry you can bring. They're more than a match for my guys. The only reason I'm holding is because I'm in guard mode here. And even then, he's going to bust through, and he's making it through here. He's wrapping around my phalanx. He's got some flanking spears. And he's got this Argos unit blocking ways in for my Cataphract archers. So what I've done, I've got some Dahai riders back here. They've come back. I'm going to need to use them well. I've taken this phalanx that was over there, moved it over here, taken it out of guard mode, so the phalanx will get in here quickly and start stabbing some of these guys. And if there's anything you can do against the Solduros unit, it's that you can potentially break it with a phalanx by killing it from the front. I shot the gap with my Cataphracts to start getting in some kills, and you can see I managed to rout some guys. But even then, look, it's an 11-man unit that's routing. It's a 26 unit Celtic spears naked spears that's routing. That's a unit that I'm scared of because he can fear my guys. Another Cataphract charge, again, completely clean. He's got all these really tough infantry. I can't really do much there. Like, as long as he's protecting his formation like this and defending carefully, he can use his elite units to block my Cataphracts and take casualties, deal casualties, and he'll have his general nearby to support, and his general's encouraging. And his only units that are routing are these, like, spears that have already been chopped up. So it's just super dangerous. But you can see the effect really is, it's not that I'm killing him with charges. Yes, the charges are doing things, but it's not that I'm killing him with charges, it's a war of attrition. I have full operation here, but I just have to hold. my infantry simply has to hold, and if it all just breaks, and it could just chain route at any moment, these aren't the best guys available. The Panda Phalanx, there's still some Gaisatai around. They're intimidated. You have to keep whittling this army away, or it's just gonna go away. But you can't just recklessly charge your cav, because if you just keep doing it, you could just accidentally lose them if you micros correctly. So I'm using everything. I'm bringing in these Persians to add mass, to add friendly units around, so my guys won't rout. And then as soon as he tries to get something in, that's when I can get in there. And I don't even get in a proper charge. I just move my Dahai nobles into his rear, because there's no way to get off a proper charge. If I try to charge this unit, there's a risk my guys would die. But if I just contact these low guys from the back who are fighting my phalanx, they'll start to break. And again, there's not that many of them left, but you just have to get these units going. As the more units you can just send routing, the less time that these elite nobles are spending fighting my guys. You can see my Cataphract bodyguard that gets in a charge there, takes out 7 goods. Again, it's not about the insane rounds against this quality of army. It's a war of attrition. You have to take them out. You have to make sure you guys don't break. You have to maintain a critical mass. And you can't let yourself get flanked. And so this means you send in these potatoes, and you just keep your cavalry alive so they can still help do the job. But you use them very carefully. And eventually, you're able to whittle away all these elite troops through surrounding and flanking. And then they'll be gone. So yeah, it's a very unconventional way to play Pahlava. It's not the way you think, but and Mephiston played the attack really well. I had to be very careful. I had to respond quickly. I had to be microing all my cavalry at all times. I couldn't throw away units. But he went for the attack. His attack could have killed me very well. I had to hold. I'd hold very carefully. I had to stop any chain routes from happening. And I had to clear up all of his missiles reasonably early so my cataphracts could operate. And you can see the results here. Yes, I mean, obviously the cataphracts are getting kills. If they're not getting killed, you're doing terribly. Like, one of them gets under 25, the Dahai nobles get good kills. The other cataphract archer, you can see this one didn't do so well, got 40 and sustained 36 casualties, so basically routed. But look at some of the supporters, the Dahai riders, medians. Cheaper, but they're cleaning up these missiles units to really do their job. Persian levy archers, same thing, and also getting some key weakening shots early on in the battle against his infantry. And as you see, it was a war of attrition. Every single one of those mattered. Phalanxes, they held. Persian hoplites, they held. And this one that went on the attack, and this Parthian Hellenic infantry that went on the attack, they did super well. And so it's easy to look at that and simply say, okay, so you just surrounded his infantry and you whittled it down and you charged in the back. And like, yes, I did. But when you look at the kill figures, that's not the whole story. There's a lot of very small things going on in that battle that are really adding up to that big infantry fight in the center and are really determining whether he's able to break me and cause a chain rout against all my units by having better infantry and scary units available, or whether I'm able to hold long enough with my guard mode units and repositioning my phalanxes. And if he had, there's many counterfactuals here. If I hadn't taken out his missiles, my cataphracts can never operate. If there are no cavalry charges, he clearly destroys me. If there's, if I hadn't gotten some of those early weakening shots on the flanks with the levy archers, he might have had enough dudes to kill me. If I hadn't, it would have been so tempting just to save the medians and be like, oh, don't risk them, let's save them as an charge unit. No, this is not a charge unit. This unit is here to go. He has no cavalry for me to fight this with. It's not a great anti-infantry troop. You send it out, you clear up his missiles. That's their job. And that's what they did. So really every unit had to play its role. And you couldn't simply think that I couldn't simply think that Mephiston is just going to play a normal game. He's not going to play a normal game. He knows he's trying to counter me specifically, and I can't be giving him what he wants. I can't be giving him, okay, let's bring horse archers and cataphracts, and have no infantry support, and he will micro that. He will defend very carefully. He will attack my infantry. He'll kill it, and I can't do anything. You just gotta be very, very careful. And when you're careful like it, it works. I took apart all of his support, and as you take apart all the support units that are critical, then you can bring the power of your combined arms force to bear. Be getting flanking shots, cavalry charges, and even in bringing in, ensuring that your infantry mass is strong enough to hold. And you can see that's what happened, and that's what got me victory here. Well played, good game, and play more EB.